One thing that inspires me as an artist is looking at beautiful weavings and textiles from around the world. In weavings, I see examples of the elements of shape, lines that move in different directions, angled lines, curved lines, dots, parts of the circle family, and even animals made up of these elements that create patterns on the weavings. Today we're going to begin making art that's inspired by these weavings. We'll make drawn and painted magic carpets. I'm ready to begin making my artwork. I have some tools with me. I have a pencil, an eraser, and a ruler. I'm going to use my ruler to make 4 or 5 lines down the page. So I line the edge of my ruler up with the edge of my page so they look like they're parallel to each other. And I'm making 1, lining this line up with the edge of my ruler now, 2, 3, and I'm checking my lines again, and 4 lines. So since I have 4 lines, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces where I'm going to create my designs. And my designs are going to be inspired by the rugs I showed you. And I also have this paper, examples of line, that I think do a really nice job of showing some great lines to create art with. And since I'm using pencil and I'm going to go over it with Sharpie, I'm going to start by drawing light. I'm going to do some wavy lines. And I'm not going to add too much detail at this point, since I know that I'll be drawing over these in Sharpie and that I can add more detail later. In this box, I'm going to do zigzags, some angled lines which create triangle shapes, and I think I'll put some ovals. Those are part of the circle family because they're not colored in. And in this line, since I noticed in some of those woven rugs there were animals, I'm going to make some fish. And I'm going to create them in a pattern because I saw a lot of patterns in the rugs. And maybe I'll even create a pattern of a wave. I've drawn my whole pattern in pencil, and now I'm ready to go over it in Sharpie. So I'm tracing over my lines as carefully as I can. And if I accidentally miss some of my lines, I'm definitely going to erase those before I paint. Otherwise, they're going to show through my paint. I wanted to show you an example of a pattern that's a little too small and detailed to be successful at this point. It's great to add those detailed small patterns, but you want to wait until the end after you've finished painting them to go back in and add those. So let me just do my fish and then I'll show you the pattern that's a little too small. So I know that fish have eyes and fins and scales, but I'm going to wait to add all of the details onto my fish until after I've painted. Here's my water. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but down here at the bottom I have a very small checkerboard pattern. And it's so small that it's hard to do all of the details going over it in Sharpie. You can have that kind of pattern in your artwork, but you want to wait until the end to do it, because if I do it now, it's going to be difficult to paint inside all those little areas. So I have enough of this ready that I'd like to show you how to do the watercolor next. You can tell I'm ready to paint because I have my whole setup. I have newspaper under my painting. I have one brush. I'm using a round brush. I have a cup of water. It's not too full because I don't want it to spill. And I have the watercolor paints at my table. You'll be sharing the set with your table. I also have a piece of paper towel that I can use to make sure my brush is clean. So I'm going to start off from the top. This is watercolor paint, so it's very liquidy, and you can use a little paint to go a long way. It's meant to be kind of see-through like this. And if you want your paint to look darker, you can add another layer of paint after the first layer is a little bit dry. So hopefully you can see this. I'm trying to use my brush as though it's a ballerina. So ballerinas a lot of times dance on their tippy toes. And when I paint with my paintbrush, I'm really just pressing down the tippy toes of my paintbrush. I'm not pressing the whole thing really firmly because it wouldn't be taking very good care of it. So I'm treating it like a ballet dancer, going a little bit at a time. And if I want this purple color that I'm using to be a little bit richer and darker, then I can go and I can add another layer of paint, and it'll make it richer and darker. Now, when I'm ready to change colors, first I need to clean my brush, because if I put my purple brush into a yellow container of water, it's going to turn my yellow into a really icky brown. So I wash my brush off like this. I just kind of gently press it on the bottom of my water container. I do a swish, wipe on the edge of the container, and then I blot it on my paper so it's not too soaking wet. Then I'm going to get my next color, which is going to be a beautiful pinkish red. So I'm going to go ahead and add these color details. The main thing I want you to focus on is treating your brush like a ballerina. And hold your brush like a pencil. You can hold it on the grip that you see on your brush, and just kind of follow the lines that you've created. Take care of your brushes. Give them a good hair day, not a bad hair day. Okay, I'll show you what it looks like once it's all painted.